I'm Jenny Williams with Extra Living at eXp Realty, and today we're at Chelsea Fire and Rescue. You're watching Life Along 280 in Chelsea. Hey, welcome to Life Along 280 in Chelsea. I'm here today with a hometown hero with Chief Joe Lee at the Chelsea Fire and Rescue. And thank you so much for joining us today and letting us come into your world for a minute.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you're always so fast-paced, I'm sure. Like right now, it seems a little quiet around here, but it's not always quiet throughout the day, is it?
No, it's not always quiet. It comes and goes. Some days are busier than others. You know, that's the times of year will make it busier than others, and you know, the weather gets bad, that affects it. So. Well,
and I've seen you working really hard, or a lot of your firefighters have been working with wrecks along 280. I mean, that's probably super common. Is that like the most thing that you help with?
It may not be the most, but we do have plenty of wrecks on 280. A lot of traffic goes up and down that road. A lot of intersections here that are very busy. So,
well, I saw also a fire on 280, like between Forest Parks and like right when you get into the city limits recently. So
like a woods fire?
Yeah, y'all were out there making sure it wasn't getting out of hand.
Yes, that happens a lot. That's usually the drier it gets, the more of that we have. Usually late summer and fall is the big time for those type of things, but they can happen any time of year. And of course we respond to that. And
so how does that start? Is that just because somebody throws out a cigarette, or?
It could be. It could be somebody was burning leaves and let it get away from them. Any number of things that people are careless when it's dry outside.
Well, I have to say that our neighbor in our neighborhood in High Chaparral, she calls the police on us often. Probably calls y'all because my husband will be burning.
well, you know, you're not the only one. A lot of people burn leaves and different things, and the state regulates when the Forestry Commission regulates when you can burn outside and when you can't. But anybody can complain and we'll come check on it. And right. As long as you're not breaking the rules, we won't put it out. But if you are, of course, we will put it out. That's just.
Well, and are you still doing permits?
We are not.
Okay.
Again, if you want to burn outside, that is regulated by the Alabama Forestry Commission. Okay. You can go to their website, and it has a list of rules that you have to follow in order to and you can come by any fire station. We have the rules printed out for you. As far as permits though, that's regulated by the state. You really need to go in there because air quality days affect it sometimes. And in the summer, from May 1st through the end of October, there's no burn ordinance for the whole state. But in the winter months, you can burn. If you have a pile of debris or anything you need to burn, as long as you follow the state's rules, and you're good.
Y'all, this is really important information. Mm-hmm. So I know that he would always go, my husband would get burn permits and would have everything he needs, and he always keeps the hose right nearby, and he's very careful about all of that. But
we used to do burn permits here where you came and gave us your address and what you were going to burn, and we gave you a list of the rules. We don't do that anymore because, like I said, it's not really up to the Chelsea Fire Department.
Right.
It's up to the state, right? So a permit wouldn't mean that I wouldn't tell you no, you couldn't, right? If the state said you could, right? What we do is enforce the rules, though.
Okay.
If you're not, like I said, we're not riding around looking for you, but if somebody calls and says my neighbor's burning and calls us, we will go check, and as long as you're following the rules, you're good to go.
Well, our house that we live in now previously burned to the ground.
Oh my.
And so that may be some reason that my neighbor always worries
they don't
about
trust you
that.
Anymore?
Right. Well, we didn't live there then. But
Okay. All right.
Saying it is in the city limits, so you know she I guess gets nervous about all of that.
Well, okay.
So how many house fires do you have normally, like in your district, per year on average?
I think it's going to average out to somewhere around actual fires. Fire calls are a different thing. They might come in as a fire and not be a fire, but actual fire calls of structures are going to be 15 to 20 a year for us. We don't, I retired from Bessemer before I came here, and we had quite a few more over there.
Did you?
It's just an older city with older construction and stuff. But we train for it constantly. Anything that you don't do very often, you need to train more to be prepared for, right? It creates a bigger risk for you when you don't do it as often. So we spend a lot of time preparing for structure fires.
So, I've heard in years past that people will donate structures for, fire departments to burn down and to train. Do you have that? Like, what kind of training do you do?
Well, we don't. Whether we burn one or not is relative to where it's at. We have to follow health department regulations before we can you can't just set the house on fire. You
right.
know? We have to make sure
there's a long list of stuff.
Yeah, there's a long list of stuff that we have to go through, and it is time consuming and expensive sometimes to burn a house like that. However, it has been done, and it does get done occasionally. At this time, we're over on, I know a lot of people have seen us, we've posted on our Facebook, over on 47, just past Liberty Church across from the ballparks. There's a house there that the city owns, and they are allowing us to train inside of it. We do things like search training, so if we have a smoke machine, we'll fill it up with smoke to lower the visibility, and then we'll practice going in and searching for victims inside a house fire. Also, this week and for the next few weeks, they are working on what we call RIT, or rapid intervention, where if a firefighter were to get trapped inside of there, there's different ways that they go in to get him out, right? Whether he's trapped or just down, whatever. So the time to learn is not during the chaos of the emergency, right? They practice together like any team. They come together and work on that so that when they're in the real thing, it becomes more natural to them. How they communicate with each other, everybody understands their role because everybody has a role to play. So we practice that weekly. Every week, it might just be things where we, like today, where they'll come together and talk about things and how they would do it. And then next week, we might be out actually doing those things, getting comfortable in their gear, getting comfortable working with each other. So they
don't have shock whenever it happens.
Yeah. A common misconception I think a lot of people have of firemen is all we do is eat and watch TV and
and work out.
Yeah, and work out. So if you came and hung out with us for a while, you realize we do a lot more than that. We have to. So.
Well, and you are probably really focused on training right now. You said you just recently hired several people.
Yes, we've hired 8 since November. So most of them are, like I said, are young guys with less than 3 or 4 years in the fire service already. So they have a lot to learn, but they're eager to learn. And we've got some great guys here that spend a lot of time working with them and training them, and that's great.
What kind of background does one have to have in order to be considered?
Okay, so we're a smaller department. You know, if some of the bigger departments, say Birmingham, Hoover, so they might have the luxury of hiring someone that didn't have any experience or any training and training them and putting them through different classes and things. We generally look for people that are already qualified firefighters. They're already at least basic EMTs. And we like to find people, there's actually a class, a pumper class we call it, to drive these trucks. You really can't drive it unless you have that class. So we here also look for people that have AO pumper class. That creates a situation where we have somebody who's ready to be a fireman, who's already a basic EMT, and they can drive the fire truck when they get here. Because
a lot of stuff they gotta know.
It is. And of course, if you're more qualified, paramedics are always at a premium. We're always looking for paramedics. And there's actually another class for aerials, like this ladder truck here. That would also help because we have one of those. If you can drive it, it would help us as well. So, yeah, I mean, we have some basic things that we look for in candidates to hire just to fill the needs of what we have.
So on the rescue side, you said, some basic EMT training. I bet you get a lot of phone calls. Are you normally first responder for heart attacks or?
Oh, yes. Any 911, if you call 911, the fire department's kind of the catch-all for everything, right? If it's
have to do it all.
We have to do it all. If it's not a police matter, we're coming. And now, of course, medical calls are the majority of what we do. There's always, unfortunately, there's people that have heart attacks, strokes, or just general illnesses every day that they will call us for. And that's not just us, that's all fire departments everywhere that offer EMS along with it. The majority of what you'll do will be in EMS. So.
Well, I don't know that I've ever had to dial 911 for an emergency, but my daughter did, and my husband and I were in Nashville, and she never has thrown a party in her life except for this weekend, but she told us she was doing it. Well, we were checking in with cameras, and somebody had a bad situation in one of our bathrooms, and she called 911, and I mean, this department just did a beautiful job taking care of everybody there, making sure everybody was safe, and I'm very grateful for that.
Right. And a lot of people like you never call 911, and you're blessed if that's the case. I wish nobody ever had to call 911. I certainly want to see anybody's house catch on fire or somebody have a sickness or an injury. However, they happen. Those things happen, and when we are there for you in your weak moment, right? That's what we do. You expect us, you trust us to come there and make things better, and that's what we strive to do. That's our mission, so to speak.
Well, I'm just so grateful that we have such heroes like Joe taking care of our community. We have such a special place here in Chelsea, and thank you for everything that you do, and for your team that you have here too.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate you. I'm so grateful for Chief Joe for allowing us to be here, because Chelsea's such a great place to live, and there is no place better in Alabama than life along Highway 280. It is where my heart is for sure, but y'all, let me tell you what is happening. $50,000 over asking price with no contingencies. That means no appraisal contingency. That means no home inspection contingency. That is what one of my agents sold a house for this past week, and that's what's happening all up and down in every neighborhood around Birmingham. So you're gonna have to be prepared if you want to get in this market. But you don't want to start looking and not actually put the attention on getting your house ready, because what's going to happen is you're going to finally stumble into something you can't live without, and your house isn't on the market. I can tell you right now, sellers are not accepting any contingencies on the sale of a house, especially if you don't have it on the market and currently marketed. Now, if you've got it under contract, that's another story. So we can walk through all of the steps. I've got several different strategies that we can make work for you, whatever you're comfortable with. But I can tell you that you're gonna feel a lot of pressure. You're gonna feel so much pressure, not by me, because I'm gonna educate you and then hold your hand. You're gonna feel pressure by this market because 30 other people are looking at the same house that you are. We are just really in that much of a shortage. People just don't know where they're gonna go, so they haven't put their house on the market. It's very, very unique. I wanted to share some positivity with you. Chief Joe was just sharing with us a little bit that he's seeing a lot less COVID cases, a lot less COVID-related issues that are happening out when he is with the Chelsea Fire and Rescue. So that's really good news. It's been over a year, and we need to see this thing go away. So let's definitely work together to make sure that we make life in Chelsea and life along Highway 280 a much better place. Give me a call and let's work out your strategy.